When will I make my money back when I invest in real estate?
Well, Clayton, that's the wrong question. And
Why?
we're going to teach you to ask the right questions about your investments on today's show.
Here we are at our very first rental property. Welcome into the Investing in Real Estate show, everyone. I'm Clayton Morris.
I'm Natalie Morris.
The show where we help you build financial intelligence so you can build financial freedom. So this is a question we get a lot. People email us on a regular basis about this. When will I make my money back if I invest in real estate or I buy that one house? And it's a question that you and I used to ask ourselves back when we got started in real estate investing, but it's the wrong question. Why?
Right. Okay. So the question usually goes something like this. If I buy a property for $100,000, how long will it take me to make $100,000? Which is logical, right? You see that money leave your account, you want it to come back. But the reason this is a wrong question is because you don't want that $100,000 sitting in your bank account doing nothing. You want that $100,000 out in the world making you money, right? If it sits in a bank account, it's going to make at best 1%, maybe with some of the newfangled accounts 2%, right? What are some of the other options?
Well, yeah, so it goes back to the videos or content that we've talked about where if you're saving money, you're losing money. Because if that money is sitting in a bank account, you're making 1 or 2%, but you're not even accounting for inflation. So $1 today is not worth $1 in 10 years. Putting that money, though, to work in a real estate performing asset is producing monthly cash flow. So a lot of people think, okay, well, it'll take me 5 years to make that money back, 6 years to make that money back. Well, let me make the point that that money is not doing anything for you now. Why would you, to Natalie's point, even want that money back?
Right. So think about it as the nest egg, right? Is how everyone thinks of their savings account, the nest egg. Well, the eggs could be sitting there rotting in the basket, or they could be out in the world working hard for their money, right? Eggs, in that instance, it doesn't work. The eggs turn into a goose, right? This analogy, I've gone too far already.
You are terrible with these idioms.
I know, but
we did a live stream last night with our private Facebook group, our Financial Freedom Academy.
A ball of wax.
You're like,
hand up, a leg up.
I'll give them a leg up, a hand up, a ball of wax. I'm like, come on.
Okay, so let's all agree before we move forward that we don't want cash sitting there rotting like eggs. Okay?
You got that
Think
one.
of your nest egg as like actual eggs that rot.
Right.
Okay? You don't want that. You want them out. Why do you ever want that money back? Well, maybe because you want to buy something else, right? We talked to you about how to do that. But that $100,000 that was previously in your bank account, you still own, just in a different form. It's not now in the form of eggs. It now is a $100,000 goose.
Right.
And that goose starts to produce, right? So we almost never think of getting that money back. We think of sending that money out to work. And now that money's working, we have regular eggs that we can just eat.
Right. The rich do not work for money. The rich use their money and have it work for them. So this $100,000 is not producing any monthly cash flow. In fact, you're losing money by it sitting in your account. And now we're even seeing all the signs about negative interest rates. Negative interest rates already happening in Europe. Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan saying he doesn't think we'll get to 0% interest rates in the United States, but he's preparing for it.
Yikes.
That was his quote this week. When Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan says he doesn't think we'll get to 0%
Probably
interest
not.
rates, but it's coming. So if you've got money and you're banking on a savings account for growth, that's about to go out the window, and now you may even be paying money to keep money in a bank account, a savings account.
But that's not to say we don't actually make our money back. We've had investments for several years where we already have made the equivalent of that investment, but we did not just keep it there. Then like, oh great, that money came back, that's wonderful, right? No, then we got that money back and we sent it out into a new goose. We went and bought a new goose, right? It does not work like that. Now the reason I thought of this episode is because we had a viewer, I'm not gonna use his name, but
Let's call him Sam.
Sam it is, Sam he is, and he had written me that he had this investment that he was inspired to buy because of this podcast. And the investment started to go wrong because he had bought it from some kind of wholesaler or something like that. And then the person who had originally sold it came and challenged ownership. So something to do with the title. The way he took title was like a quit claim deed.
There was a cloud on title.
It was a cloud on title.
Right.
Okay, we don't need to go that far. And so he was discouraged, like, oh no, I've already started the renovation. I'm going to lose this money. What am I going to do? And then he came up with a way to pay back the person who was contesting title. Like, let me buy it from you. And then I can't remember the whole details. But the reason he wrote me was like, look, I came up with this creative solution because you guys inspired me to do that. Wonderful. And so I said, will you come on the podcast and explain this complicated story to everyone? Because I think you had such an amazing attitude. He really could have just gone into a depression, not solved this, gave up, throw his hands in the air. He didn't. He just kept looking at this from different angles. And I was so... proud is not the right word because he's not mine to be proud of, but
I could be proud. I get proud of our viewers all the time. Just read the comment threads on any of our videos on YouTube, and there are people like, "Hey, I bought my second property thanks to you." It's not thanks to us. You guys took action and did it yourself. So I am proud when people make a change in their life. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him.
And I was inspired, to be honest. I was really inspired by this. He took ownership, he took responsibility, and he used creativity. But then he had a lot of problems with the rehab. The rehab began, and then some of the copper wiring was stolen out, which can be common.
It can happen.
Right. He had just one thing after another, and he was like, man, this really sucks. And he's like, I don't know if I'll ever make my money back. I'm really discouraged. I don't want to be on the podcast because I feel like doo-doo. And I was like, okay, send me your numbers. Let's just talk about the deal, right? Let me really see where you are. Because sometimes when people write me, I like to help out as much as I can. I'm not a financial advisor. But I thought I don't know. He said, well, I just got a tenant in there for $900, so maybe I'll make my money back in, however many years. And I was like, make your money back. Send me those numbers. So he sent me some numbers, and he was all in, including the renovation. He had secured some personal loans from friends and family members, as well as put this on his credit card. He was all in for about $57,000. And he's like, but the house only appraised for $41,000, so I'm totally screwed. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Right. Wait a second. Who cares, first of all, about an appraiser? Unless, he's looking to do like a cash out refinance right now to try to move some of that money. But that's only one part of this, right?
Right. So I ran some basic calculations I'm going to walk you through. I said, okay, you're making $900 a month. You multiply that by 12. Now we teach you how to calculate return on an investment, right? In other videos, we'll link below. But I'm just gonna breeze through this assuming that you know this calculation. Okay, 900 times 12 is $10,800 per year. You take away 40% for taxes, insurance, and vacancy. Now he's cash flowing $6,480 a year. Now in my old life, I would have just divided purchase price of $57,000 divided by $6,000 to see how many years I get that money back. Now I don't care, right? All I care about is what is that money doing? How hard is that money working? So I took the cash flow, $6,480, divided it by the purchase price of $54,000, and he's getting an 11% return.
Right.
So even with the debt service.
So again, the moral of that story is that he was worried because he got an appraisal on it that was less than what he was all in after his renovations, right?
And he was worried that he would never get that $57,000 back. He was just looking at it wrong. And I said, but you're making 11% return. He's like, oh my gosh, I did really good on my first try. I thought that, look at this, he says, damn, I did good for my first try, right? I just hadn't thought of it this way.
Right.
So he thought he made a bad deal. He didn't. So
in real estate investing, you make profit 4 and even 5 different ways. Check out our videos where we walk through all the different ways you profit. I mean, one of the ways I'll just say is depreciation, right? Taxes. So here he's able to claim a capital loss
this year
on the renovation. So it's an incredible tax shelter. Not only is he getting the tax benefit of that loss, he's getting the cash flow from an 11% return from this tenant. So it's not really a loss.
Not at all. It's a very good deal, right? But I think maybe he had used up all his positive energy in the acquisition of this. He just couldn't see it from this way. And so I was so happy to look at his numbers and be like, no, you're doing great. Like, keep going. You're doing wonderful.
Yeah.
So I thought that lesson, well, first of all, everyone likes a story hour, right? And also I just felt like this could inspire people to realize that they could see this from a different angle. Again, it's not at all about when you get your money back. It's about how hard your money's working for you.
So the moral of this story, don't ever focus on how long will it take me to get my money back. Keep your money working for you, producing monthly cash flow for you. Use it as a tax shelter. That's how you build true financial freedom. We'll see you in the next video, everyone.